Tonight, we have new details on a Greenville County murder case from 2021. Deputies now issuing new charges against two people who they say spread explicit images of the victim just a few months before she was killed.
Now, one of them already behind bars, charged with her murder. Christina Parcell was found dead inside of her home on Canebrake Drive in October of 2021. Deputies say she was stabbed more than 30 times. John Mello and Zachary Hughes, who you see here, are both charged with harassment and criminal conspiracy. Deputies say they worked together to send explicit images of Parcell to several people and businesses. Hughes was already in custody, charged with Parcell's murder. Mello and Parcell shared a child together.
Let's go now live to Fox Carolina's Zach Perlutsky. You were live in court when Mello went before a judge. Zach, what can you tell us about today's hearing?
Well, Dana, both Hughes and Mello appeared in bond court at the same time wearing matching orange jumpsuits. Presumably the first time in well over a year these two friends have been in the same room in person at the same time. Now, according to the assistant solicitor who presented the case for the state, Christina Parcell initially reported harassment in July of 2021, just 3 months before she was brutally killed. Now, the solicitor's office says that in April of that year, John Mello messaged Zach Hughes saying, quote, harass the expletive out of her, end quote, presumably meaning Parcell. Now, in May, a month later, an email from John Mello's account was sent to Zachary Hughes containing graphic images of Parcell. And then between June and July, packages were sent from both Greenville and Knoxville, Tennessee, with those same images Mello emailed to Hughes to several people, including family and friends, in their homes where children live at the same time. Now, the solicitor's office says that cell phone records from Zachary Hughes' cell phone places him in both Greenville and Knoxville the days some of those packages were sent. Now, we also heard from the victim, Christina Parcell's sister. She spoke at the bond hearing. This is what she had to say to John Mello.
This loving father sent pornographic images to people where any child could have gotten them. With utter disregard for any harm he was causing to the mother of his child. His own child could have found them. Her friends could have found them. And he did it anyways. Utterly callous.
Now, Mello did not have an attorney present at the bond hearing, but we did hear from the lawyer of Zachary Hughes, who argued that these charges are only misdemeanors, and despite facing that murder charge, Hughes has no prior criminal history.
We would argue, to Your Honor, that Zachary Hughes is in no means a danger to the community. He has no criminal history at all. I know he has some pending charges, but at this point, those are merely allegations.
Now, Mello was given a $15,000 surety bond with passport restrictions by the judge, while Zachary Hughes was given a $10,000 bond in relation to these charges. But it is noteworthy he is already being held under no bond in regards to those murder charges. Now, all of this comes a little more than a year after Zachary Hughes was found compelled by the court to give up his iPhone password after a motion was filed by the solicitor's office. Hughes never did give up his passcode, but after several hundreds of thousands of attempts, law enforcement was finally able to crack into that iPhone. And I asked the assistant solicitor if he could say whether these charges that have come up today regarding some of those pictures and messages that were sent back and forth were found during that search of Hughes' phone after that phone lock was cracked, and he said he could not comment on that at this time. For now, reporting live in Greenville, Zach Perlutsky, Fox Carolina News.
Thanks, Zach. And tonight, we're bringing you team coverage of this new development.
Yeah, our investigative reporter, Grace Runkle, joins us live in studio to go in depth on what a court order revealed about that relationship between Mello and Hughes.
Well, the court documents in this case give us a pretty good look inside the relationship between John Mello and Zachary Hughes. In fact, the solicitor's office describes the two as close friends. Court records say Hughes worked for Mello, cleaning Mello's house and performing other tasks at least during the years 2020 and 2021. We looked on Facebook and also found the two had conversations back and forth, often about music, during that period. Fast forward to October 2021. That's when Mello is arrested arrested on charges related to his custody battle. The documents say Mello exclusively placed Hughes on the relationship portion of his booking so they could communicate with each other while Mello was incarcerated. The documents also reveal the two communicated a lot, and usually on WhatsApp. It's a platform that allows people to text, call, and do video chats. The order says that there were approximately 1,769 WhatsApp messages between Hughes and Mello. It also says those messages were sometimes scrambled, making them hard to decipher. Investigators say that Hughes and Mello were even in communication the day of the murder. We'll tell you what they said coming up at 6. Live in the studio, Grace Runkle, Fox Carolina News.
Thanks, Grace. And in another twist to this case, while deputies were investigating Parcells' death, they also arrested her fiance, Bradley Post. Deputies say they discovered he had a thumb drive with child sexual abuse material on it. He's now facing several counts of sexual exploitation, but he is not charged in connection to Parcells' murder. As we follow updates on this case, make sure to download our Fox Carolina News app.